Welcome into the BR studios. Danny Gray here. Happy to be with you for the next few minutes. I'm going to drop my winners, my losers, some hot takes that hopefully you guys all agree with and are relatively kind to me about in the comment section. But this should be a lot of fun because yesterday was a blast. I feel like NHL fans are always complaining about, man, can we have an NBA free agency? Can we have like a little bit of excitement, big guys moving around? And I'll admit, most free agency days in the NHL summer, we don't have those big moments, maybe other than like the 1-for-1 trade, which we all remember back in the summer. But yesterday, big fish were on the market. You got Claude Giroux, Johnny Gaudreau moving around, some big names, and also some huge surprises. So I'm going to start off with my top winner from yesterday, and that is the Columbus Blue Jackets. I feel like it's a shoo-in. Johnny Gaudreau, who's been with the Flames his entire career, a phenomenal all-star forward out in Calgary, and a guy that, yes, fantastic passer, can really roll a line, though has not, in my opinion, gotten enough attention that he should, frankly, just because he's been stuck in Alberta. But he makes the surprise decision yesterday. The announcement coming pretty later on in the day of free agency. Actually seemed like maybe we weren't going to get it yesterday. Gaudreau, a 7-year contract, AAV, well over 9. He's from the Jersey, Philly area. There was a lot of talk about whether those two teams were going to be able to make a move for him. Philly, I know they wanted to get him real bad. And we'd heard kind of the rumors that Gaudreau was willing to wait it out and see if maybe Philly could clean up some cap space. They wanted to move JBR, and they just couldn't do it. And for whatever reason, Johnny Gaudreau made the decision to say no to the Islanders, no to the Devils, and he is a Columbus Blue Jacket. So, yes, a winner in Columbus. Frankly, I'm not quite sure what it means other than I know. I mean, I got to pull up this. This was my favorite clip from a few seasons ago. You can see this is Gaudreau in warm-ups in Columbus when he was on the Flames. And, of course, you know, they got the cannon, right, that they shoot off every single goal. So he's going to have to get a little bit more used to it than this. And this was during warmies, and clearly just crapped his pants a little bit when going through it. But that's something that he can get used to, and I feel like having $9 million in your pocket makes that okay. I'll take one last look, though, at their line charts. Gaudreau, Roslovic. We talked about Patrick Laine right off the top of the show. I wonder if a Gaudreau move, obviously, to Columbus, signing him for that long, does that kind of maybe convince Patrick Laine to stick with Columbus long term? I don't know. I know there's been a lot of rumors about him wanting out. It seems like, frankly, he's kind of wanted out in wherever city that he's gone to. But maybe playing with Johnny Hockey kind of keeps him around there. Also, do want to mention, too, Eric Goodbranson. That's another move that I think is really strong for Columbus. Some will say that they overpaid him. He's a really physical defenseman that, honestly, in this day and age, you see it with all the cup contending teams now. Come May, come June, come July this year. You need those types of players. And this is kind of a horse on your back end for Columbus. Yeah, he's not going to put up a ton of points, 17 points last year with Calgary, but hey, he's a buddy of Johnny Hockey, so can't hurt with that. Let's hit the chat real quick. We got Noah Schaefer, Blue Jackets, one free agency. No doubt if I could give you a hoodie, Noah, I'd give it to you. That's a smart take. Nieves, how do you feel about the Rangers now after Trocheck and Domingue, but losing Strome? I'm going to get to that in a sec, and unfortunately they're in my losers category in a big-time way. If you watched the stream yesterday, I was not too pleased with the Trocheck signing. Frankly, the term on it. The Louis Domingue thing is just hilarious. I mean, this is a guy that came in with the Penguins, was not supposed to play in that series in the first round, and yet now he ends up playing with the Rangers. Flyers, biggest loser in the league at Nuckin. Yeah, I'm going to have to, I don't know if I can completely agree with the biggest loser take there. Maybe they go trade or try and acquire Nazem Kadri. Still as a free agent. I think the last check that I saw on rumors-wise is that Kadri was maybe even mulling back going to Colorado. I wonder if a Jersey, if a Philly, if an Islanders team that missed out on Gaudreau maybe feels a little more pressured right now to go make a run at Kadri. At Floodgate says, Wings playoffs, no doubt. Yeah, I like the moves that they made. I really do. I mean, when you think about a lot of complimentary guys, Andrew Kopp coming in from the Rangers, David Perron from the Blues, those are a couple of elder statesmen when it comes to forwards that are going to help a lot of the younger Red Wings core move it along. Only problem is I don't know if that's a playoff team, just considering how competitive the Eastern Conference is. Even a team like Ottawa, which I'm going to pivot into right now, the moves they made yesterday, really, really strong. I mean, look at this second line. Alex DeBrincat, who they traded for, obviously, from Chicago last week. Tim Stützle, who I'm a huge fan of. I wonder if, honestly, he should have gone higher in that draft. I know he checked in at 3. He's a star in the making. Claude Giroux, they actually have on the wing here in Daily Faceoff. As good as the website is, sometimes I don't know about their line combinations. Obviously, Giroux and Stützle are going to be in the top 6 no matter what. But this is a really solid lineup when it comes to the top 6. I just wonder, once again, is it enough to get through the Eastern Conference and earn a playoff spot? I really don't know. I think considering what they were able to do, even bringing in Cam Talbot, they don't show goalies on here, but Talbot's a really strong goalie, and that's going to be the best goaltending that Ottawa's had in a really long time. Honestly, they were able to get rid of Matt Murray at the hands of the Leafs fans, which is just brutal. Jonathan Levy asking, thoughts on Devils losing Johnny Hockey but scoring on Palat? Yeah, I said it going into yesterday. I thought Andre Palat was going to be the biggest, surprise move that's going to be looked back at in a couple of seasons and think, damn, what a signing. I think they got him for a pretty decent, good AAV as well. I think it was in the 5 to 6 range. And as good as he's been for Tampa, what is he able to do now in a Jersey team that he's going to have a little bit more of an elevated role? We know he's a huge playoff performer. I don't know the next time he's going to get to play in the playoffs with Jersey, but that's a guy that I really, really like. And honestly, any of the 32 teams, if they were to pick up Andre Palat, they're instantly better. So I love that move. Wings playoffs, no doubt. We got to that. Sabres had a sneaky good day. Bronny, if you have some explanation, feel free to chalk it up, but I feel like that might be a troll. Jack Coleman, Flyers, biggest loser. I hate this team more than anything. All right, first off, Jack, hate is a really strong word. I hate very few things in this life. It's 2022. We're practicing self-care, self-emotion, self-positivity. Let's keep the hatred to a minimum, but yeah, I'd be pretty pissed off if I were to. Palat's an overpaid third-line player from Crawdaddy. All right, well, you're entitled to your opinion. I disagree. I'd be stunned if he's not in the top 6 on a Jersey team come opening night. Canes killed it without giving up much, yet we're going to get to them in a sec, Christopher. And at NY Ryan, Islanders' biggest losers. Lou once again puts all his chips in one basket and misses out on everyone. I'm sure New York fan Ryan is super-duper bummed, if he's a Rangers fan at least. I didn't realize until moving here how big that, I guess obviously, yes, 2 teams in the same city, obviously, with the Rangers and the Islanders. Such different fan bases, and it's been kind of cool to see the last couple of years the Islanders get on the rise, get that place, that home that they so desperately deserved at UBS. So that's going to be a fun rivalry to watch coming up in the next few years. All right, keep hitting up the chat. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I do want to talk, though, just briefly, a little bit more about some of the moves that the Senators made. Also, want to get to the Carolina Hurricanes. That was one of the mentions. C. Day Topher. Canes killed it without giving up much. Yeah, they didn't give up much. Here's the trade tweet. You can read it with me. Sharks Hurricanes trade Brent Burns, who we all know and love. If you got like 10 minutes after the stream, don't leave now. Hang around. 10 minutes after the stream, go look up Brent Burns and his ranch. I want to say it's in Montana, South Dakota, maybe even Idaho. But this dude is an animal fiend, and he raises all of these wild animals. He's just a crazy figure. He's also really good at hockey, and he makes that blue line a lot better. A blue line which, frankly, didn't need a lot of improvement. They get rid of Tony DeAngelo. Say of that what you will. But swapping him in with Brent Burns, huge upgrade, in my opinion, for the Canes. They get Lane Peterson for Steven Lorentz. That's a nice up-and-coming guy for the Canes, and that feels like the biggest move, obviously, going back to San Jose. E2 Makaniemi. If I mispronounce that, hit me up in the chat, but I don't think you'd pronounce it right. I think I nailed that, actually. And a conditional 2023 round pick. So basically, you're getting Brent Burns, who, in my opinion, is a top 10 defenseman still in the game, for Steven Lorentz. Not bad. Like, that is a really, really strong move. And then, if you thought that that wasn't even done good enough, later on in the day, and we'll talk about it in our Vegas section, they pick up Max Pacioretty as well. That's a forward that, I mean, just shows what an absolute shit show the Golden Knights have turned into in their asset management, that they have to give up a guy like Max Pacioretty. But that's going to be something interesting to see going forward. Some of the heat that Vegas is getting, but the Hurricanes, they're the beneficiaries of it. They pick up Max Pacioretty, and those lines are pretty scary. This is a team that I thought, even as a Bruins fan, I thought the Canes were going to make a good run to the Stanley Cup final. They ran into Igor Shesterkin. I'm not even going to give credit to the rest of that Rangers team. That was just an Igor series. I thought the Canes, frankly, would have given Colorado and Tampa a lot more run for their money. Pacioretty, Aho, Teuvo Teravainen. It's a pretty solid top line. Svechnikov, Kotkaniemi, Marty Necas. He kind of had a coming out party in the playoffs too, and I don't want to offend any Carolina Hurricanes fans out there that were maybe watching more Canes games than me. I hadn't seen a lot of Necas. Big body, good skill. That's a hell of a top six. They add up Andre Kasha as well. A poor guy who really couldn't find it in Boston, couldn't find it in Toronto, had a lot of different, frankly, concussion issues. Maybe he finds a nice little home in Carolina. And then look at this D. Jacob Slavin, Brent Burns as your top pair. Brady, I mean, yeah, you can see it on the screen. This is a ridiculous wagon. And with Rod Brind'Amour, who in my opinion is maybe the best coach in the NHL, this is a cup contending team for at least the next couple years. Honestly, if they don't win a cup in the next 2 or 3 years, I think it's going to be a bit of a letdown. All right, I'm hitting the chat once again. Shane Moore asks, thoughts on the Penguins bringing back the band? So it's a tough one because I think Pittsburgh and their fans, you win back-to-back Stanley Cups not too long ago, which is not an easy thing to do. I mean, you saw what the Blackhawks had to do to win, obviously, their dynasty of 3 cups, and they've been reeling ever since. I give the Penguins a lot of credit in that ownership group for still being relatively competitive after those 2 cups. And the way that it played out where, right, they re-signed Chris Letang first last week, and then all the rumors start going, okay, Malkin's on the way out. I feel like you just had some sort of feeling that Sidney Crosby got in the ear and said, hey, you are not letting Gino go. And they gave him, I think, an AAV of 6-1, which is decently steep for a pretty veteran guy. Though I will say, I thought he was one of the best forwards on the ice in that Rangers-Penguins series in the first round. So I like the move. Look, when you have Sidney Crosby on your team, you got a chance to win the Stanley Cup every single year, in my opinion. You really do. And I don't care what happened last year. I don't care what sort of moves they make at the deadline. Crosby's leadership, that skill, you got guys like Gensel. I mean, even that top line without Malkin, pretty scary. And they switch around that top 6 quite a bit. So I like the move. What would you grade the Wings free agency? I'm giving them an A-. I think free agency-wise, they did a great job. My only sort of hiccup is it worth it? You know, you didn't have to give out a ton of money. They get guys like Kopp, Perron for pretty good numbers, honestly. But the problem is I just don't see this team competing quite yet. I will say I feel like when you're a Detroit fan, you're part of that original 6 fan base. At some point, you got to start competing. You need to show your fan base that, hey, we're going to be competitive at some point because, I mean, it's a rabid fan base. And clearly Stevie Y had his coffee yesterday morning. Holy crap, he was making moves. At Nieves, do you think the Rangers can get Kane during the season? Yeah, I think they do. I think that would be my prediction, honestly. We can talk about them later with Kane and Taves, but I think probably New York City is where Kane ends up. Entourage asks, how do you feel about Tampa's offseason so far? It's tough to even critique. They've been in cap hell for 3 years, and somehow Brisebois, first it was Yzerman, now Julien Brisebois, somehow continues to just dominate his roster. I mean, the contracts we saw yesterday off the top of my head, see if I can even find one right here. The numbers that they got from guys like Chernak and, Sergachev, Cirelli, and Chernak, each to 8-year contract extensions. Now, these guys weren't UFAs, but that's just how they do work in Tampa. It's unbelievable. It's why they were just in 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. This team is a well-run machine that goes all the way back, frankly, to Syracuse in upstate New York with that AHL team in the Crunch. They produce guys so well. These are all homegrown talents. I remember watching Chernak in the A not too long ago, and he's turned into an NHL stud. So I'm a big fan of, obviously, what Tampa's been able to do. At Blues Cardinal says, Burns might be washed at this point. I disagree. I still think that's a guy that you want 10 times out of 10 in your lineup, especially in a playoff lineup. Thoughts on the Ducks moves? I'm bummed Sonny Milano's gone and that Zegras isn't going to be able to go 1-2 punch with him. The Strome deal's interesting, and I want to get to that when we start crapping on the Rangers, which I promise I'm going to do. It's my favorite pastime. But giving Strome 5 and 5, that's 5-year contract, $5 million AAV. I'm sure most of you know this, but AAV, average annual value, here in hockey, with the caps being so much of an important talking point and teams staying under that cap, usually we're mentioning a contract on how much they're going to go against the cap in just 1 year. So $5 million for Ryan Strome. I don't know. Let's see what he can do on a new team. We can think about it. My final winner. So far we've had, we have the Blue Jackets, Canes, and then the Senators. My final winner, I'm going with a player. And I'm a diehard Bruins fan. I have a lot of problems with the Leafs, obviously. I think Jack Campbell is a well-deserved winner from yesterday. This is a guy that, he's a 30-year-old, and he really just got his first big payday. Was with the Leafs, earned that starting job over the last couple of seasons. Do you guys remember when he went on that incredible run where the Leafs weren't losing? Jack Campbell just came out of nowhere, and he really honestly carried the Leafs in a lot of areas like that. I want to play this video. I'm blanking on I believe this was after that milestone win when Campbell picked it up for the Leafs. And these are just like the hockey guys that you want to root for. So this is a Sportsnet interview, and just you get a little taste of his personality.